Hello guys, these are your video notes looking at symbiotic relationships. So let's begin by getting our aim written on our paper. So this is how do organisms interact with one another. Alright, so as we go through this, not all symbiotic relationships are benefiting organisms. Some actually hurt some of the organisms that are paired in the relationship. It just depends on the symbiotic relationship in question. All right, so let's go through these and get started. All right, guys, so what is symbiosis? Symbiosis refers to the relationship between two organisms that last over a period of time. This can range from both organisms benefiting to one benefiting at the expense of another. Today, we're going to explore the 5 main types of symbiotic relationships: parasitism, mutualism, commensalism, neutralism, and competition. All right, so in symbiosis, relationships are often described using symbols. So the symbols that we're going to use are a plus, a minus, or a zero. So the plus indicates a benefit, a minus indicates a harm, and a zero indicates no effect. Let's look at how these symbols apply to different symbiotic interactions. So let's first begin with parasitism. So here, one organism is going to benefit and the other is going to be harmed. So this is going to be a plus-minus relationship. So in most parasitic relationships, the host is generally killed once it is no longer needed. An example of this would be the mosquito-human relationship. However, humans aren't killed in this example. However, let's look at another example where the host is killed. So, an example of this is going to be a wasp and a tomato hornworm, where the wasp larvae feeds on the inside of the hornworm, eventually killing it. So here, the tomato hornworm and the wasp have a very interesting symbiotic relationship. So this is a parasitic relationship, which means one organism is benefited while the other is harmed. The wasp benefits this relationship, while the tomato hornworm is harmed. The wasp lay their eggs inside of the hornworm, where they hatch and begin feeding on the insides of the caterpillar. When they mature, they spin cocoons on the hornworm's back, where they become adult wasps when they hatch. Thus, the tomato hornworm is eaten alive, while the wasps are getting many meals from the worm itself. Again, in most parasitic relationships, the host is not killed. However, in this one, it usually is. All right, so again, this is just breaking down the relationship we just went through. All right, so now let's look at commensalism. Commensalism is a relationship where one organism benefits and the other remains unaffected. So this is going to be a plus-zero relationship. An example of this is barnacles on a whale. The barnacles gain a mobile surface to adhere to, catching more food particles as the whale moves, while the whale is unaffected by their presence. So commensalism plus zero. All right, mutualism. This is a win-win symbiotic relationship where both organisms benefit from the relationship. So this would be a plus-plus relationship. Example here is the classic Nemo and Marlin example. So here the relationship between the clownfish and sea anemones is a perfect example. The anemones provide the clownfish with protection, while the clownfish provide the anemones with cleaning services and nutrients through their waste. So mutualism plus plus. All right, the next symbiotic relationship is that of neutralism. This is going to be a relationship where both organisms remain unaffected. This is seen in animals like deer, rabbits, and frogs sharing a grassland habitat together without directly interacting or affecting each other's existence. So this is a 0-0 relationship, and they're just kind of together in presence, but they don't necessarily help each other survive. All right. The last symbiotic relationship we're going to look at is that of competition. This occurs when neither organism benefits and both may be harmed. So this is going to be a negative-negative relationship. This is often seen in animals like hyenas and lions, who are both predators, competing over the same prey or territory. This leads to conflicts that can be detrimental to both, which would normally be injuries obtained through fighting. So competition in nature is going to be considered negative because if you do not have multiple animals occupying the same niche, you do not have that competition, which is better for everyone. All right, so let's go through and practice a couple of these and test your knowledge. So consider the scenario here on the screen. A lion approaches a herd of elephants, which startles a nearby water bird into flight. The bird's sudden noise alerts the antelope, which helps them escape. What type of relationship is there between the birds and the antelope? All right, so pause the video and give this a shot. All right, so your options. All right, so the answer is commensalism. The antelope benefits from the warning without affecting the birds. So this would be a +0 relationship, also known as commensalism. All right, let's look at the next example. A lichen is a combination of algae and fungus living together. The algae provides food through photosynthesis, while the fungus supplies moisture and protection. What type of relationship is this? All right, so choose between those four, pause the video, and give this a shot. All right, so the answer here is mutualism. So So both organisms benefit and depend on each other for survival. So this would be mutualism. So symbiotic relationships are crucial for understanding ecological interconnections and the balance of our ecosystems. They illustrate the interconnectedness of life and how species evolve mechanisms to survive together. So I hope this helped you guys understand a little more about the natural world and how they are all networked and essential to survival.